All right, let's talk about UNLV and the start they're off to. Hawaii is in town. Ninth Island Showdown. The big pineapple is on the line. Nate Oishi played for the Rebels, is now coaching high school locally, a former offensive lineman. How are you?
Good. How are you guys?
We're good. So tell us what you think of the start of the season so far. Nice run out here to 3-1.
I think they look really good. I've been happy with Coach Odom and his staff. Coach Odom's done a great job getting out in the community. The one thing I did like against Vanderbilt is sometimes when UNLV football, like bad things happen in the game, you'll see our team kind of like fold sometimes, and they didn't. They did the opposite of that. They just kept playing the game regardless of the score and then finished. So I think there's a lot of things to be excited about this year.
Yeah, to your point, and we were actually fans of Arroyo. We got along well with him. I know a lot of people came away from that whole regime kind of not liking him, but the sad reality was, Nate, they were 1-10 in one-score games, and that's the lifeblood of a program. There's a lot of 50-50 games, so that Vandy game was big, and frankly, this last game, UTEP fired right back and got it down to a one-score game in the middle of the fourth quarter, and they, again, responded well and closed it out.
Yeah. To your point on that 1-10 season, we've definitely had a lot of years in which, it was one or two games when we could have went to a bowl game, and I was on those teams too where we were close, and just to see them finish out Vandy and to see a redshirt freshman quarterback Maiava finish the game like that, I mean, it made a lot of Rebel fans happy about the future and where this team is going. It's a winning mindset is what I'm seeing.
Nate, as a player, how did you respond to constructive criticism, but after positive results? Like we were talking about Odom, they win that game, they're 3-1, and he opens his press conference with, we made this mistake, this mistake, we can't do that again, but they're 3-1. How do you respond to that? Because I felt like that was a really good causative. Like, yes, we're doing well, but we need to get better.
Yeah. The coach sets the tone for a lot of the times what the players think. And, even when I'm coaching now, I try to preach to the kids, it's not about the score or the record. It's about us getting better, because it's easy to get satisfied as a player. I remember we had a big win against Vandy my senior year a few years ago, and the next week we were kind of like slow coming out because we were still celebrating off that game. So I don't blame Coach Odom at all. I think the goal is to finish the season, make a bowl game, and there's things even when you win a big game that you can get better at.
When you watch this go-go offense, and especially against UTEP, they really rolled it up. As a former O-lineman, what do you think about it? And I wonder what the responsibilities are of the offensive lineman and if they like all the deception and movement.
Yeah, O-line is a gritty position, and I'm sure they like anything that, gets them a lot of yards and gets them wins. It's a very team-first position, so I'm sure the O-line's happy in that room. And the way offenses are moving nowadays, like you got those old school kids who want to play with a fullback pro style, but that's just unrealistic nowadays in college and the NFL. It was good to see my boy Courtney Reese have a big game. He's a perfect example of not always hitting the transfer portal just because you're not playing or whatever. He stuck it out, and I'm glad to see him doing well now.
Yeah, that could be such a weapon in games the rest of the season because UTEP was worn down. UNLV was on its way to running 77 plays, and then they look up, and Donnie Lester, who hadn't really played a whole lot in the game, and Reese are off the bench. They're fresh, while the defense is like, my God, we're tired.
Yeah, I would say we're looking like the best depth I've seen in a while. I've seen guys are rotating. Backup QB came in who didn't start the season, and we're rolling right now. It's good to see.
Yeah, speaking of that on the O-line, Jalen St. John, the projected starting left tackle, hasn't really played yet. So they've had a backup left tackle in there. Alani Makaeli, he's been in and out. He's getting more consistent now. They've had a true freshman in Austin Boyd playing, so that's cool. On Maiava and Brumfield, they're going to have a decision coming up when Brumfield is actually healthy. What do you think they're going to do? What should they do? I mean, it's always hard to tell a quarterback who got injured that you're losing your job.
Yeah, it's hard as a coach to take a job for injury, but then at the same time, it's also hard to sit a guy who got two big wins. So I think they keep the ball rolling, stay with Maiava, but either way, they're both really talented kids. With Doug's won big games for us in the past too. I'm happy with our depth because we've seen it in the past where the starter goes down and then the season gets kind of shaky after that. So the fact that we got two good quarterbacks and we're having this conversation is big time for us.
Yeah, I got rough last year with Brumfield going down. I got rough a few years back when Armani Rogers got hurt at Arkansas State. Nate Oishi, who played for UNLV, was an offensive lineman. He's now coaching Lake Mead Christian Academy, is with us. On the angle of Maiava playing at Liberty, how big do you think his success is in getting even more local recruits to stay home and win?
Yeah, I think I've seen it too, where we've gotten big local commits already, and I think it's huge. Like when I grew up in Hawaii, it was the June Jones era. We're making the Sugar Bowl, and I remember seeing players, that I looked up to who were local kids go to Hawaii and turn it into that program, and then we all kind of grew up wanting to be a Hawaii fan, and then the program kind of died out, and then that local buzz kind of went away because they started recruiting, out of state. So the fact that this staff is really pressing the in-state recruiting, and you're seeing local kids like Maiava shine, I'm sure will only help other Liberty and Nevada kids want to be in that position too, because it means more to you if you're playing for your town.
Nate, where did you play high school in Honolulu?
I played at Iolani School. It was a private school in Hawaii. We're in the same league with like St. Louis and Puno. St. Louis is where Tua went. Puno played against DeForest Buckner, so it was a good private school league.
All right, how big is this game for the Hawaiians against UNLV? Obviously, the Ninth Island moniker for us here. How big is it on the Hawaiian side?
It's huge. I got my dad and my uncles coming out for this game. I got a lot of friends coming out for this game. It's a big game. I mean, ever since I would say when I was younger, early 2000s, I had friends moving to Vegas because they were getting priced out of Hawaii. So we've had families move back and forth for years. So this is a big game in Hawaii. They're always looking for an excuse to come to Vegas, but anytime Vegas versus Hawaii, it's a big game. And you play for the Big Pineapple, the Ninth Island Showdown. I'm sure the local kids, like Maiava grew up in Hawaii. I'm sure it's big for him too. It's a big game.
Cam Frill, too, backup quarterback. Last week, I'm not sure if Hawaii actually offered him, so I'm sure he's going to be really fired up for the game too.
Yeah. Cam, I don't remember if they offered Cam, but Cam grew up. His older brother, actually played for Hawaii back when we were top 25. So it's definitely a big family game for Cam.
Did you always get the sense that UNLV was as fired up as it should be for the rivalry? Were you guys always jacked for the game?
No. I would say in recent years, since they brought out the trophy and it's become a bigger thing, it's become more fired up. But I think it's more the kids on Hawaii are more fired up than UNLV. UNLV, the big game for us is always Reno, but Hawaii doesn't have that same in-state rivalry. So I think Vegas would be one of their top rivals. Whereas our rivalries, we're more concerned with Reno.
When you were on the team, did you have to kind of explain to teammates like what the dynamic was, like why it was a rivalry, and educate them like, I know we should really want this, like this matters back home, and you guys should want this too because this thing is kind of big.
Yeah. I was lucky. I had a group of kids from Hawaii, so there was a lot of Hawaii culture on the team, and I did field some questions. Why are we the Ninth Island? Things like that. I educated them as to why people call Vegas the Ninth Island. And it's good for them to know, too, like, hey, Hawaii's coming swinging because they got half the kids on their team got aunties and uncles living in Vegas right now. So
Nate Oishi with us, former UNLV player, coaching at Lake Mead Christian Academy. So how are you guys doing so far?
Good. We started 3-1. I challenged the kids. We played 2 San Diego schools and 1 Arizona school. It's tough because we're a small school, so our league only has 4 league games. A couple schools dropped out. So we're starting league this week. It's a big game. We're playing Lincoln County, who bumped us out of playoffs last year, so it's a big game. And I'm glad with how the kids played in the preseason. They played a bigger public school in San Diego called Hoover High School, won 35-8. Accepted the challenge of traveling that far and playing out of their state. And then we lost a good game to La Jolla Country Day, where former Heisman Trophy winner Rashawn Salam went to. And we started a freshman quarterback. It was game 2 of the season, and we threw him in the fire, and they have improved increasingly since that loss. So I'm excited for how we do in league play.
You have other former Rebels on the staff?
Yeah. Gabe McCoy, he played linebacker for UNLV. Mike Hughes is my defensive coordinator. Okay. He played D-line for UNLV and then played for the Jaguars for a couple of years. J.D. Alexander is our offensive coordinator. He played with me at UNLV. His dad's the receiver coach, Del Alexander, currently. Sid Acosta and Jack Reynolds played O-line at UNLV. Christian Clapp played receiver at UNLV. And then Darren Palmer is our DB coach. He played DB at UNLV. So it's all UNLV staff.
By the way, did you mention Oblad, or did he just do a little bit of work with you guys? Was he working with you?
Yeah, so Oblad was with us in the beginning of the year, and then he just got a new job, and his boss was making him stay back later and later, and then eventually it just did. I know he was
Stupid
excited
jobs.
for it too, but he's going to try again next year. He just finished college, and he's in the working world, the business world now. So he's trying to work with his boss for next year.
Good
but
deal.
he came out a few times. He came out in a few months early, and then it helped our quarterback a ton.
Nice. All right, we'll see you out at the game, and this is I hope people here, especially since we have a lot of transplants, realize how big this game is. It's probably going to be the biggest crowd of the year up to this point. I love this game. The rivalry is awesome, so looking forward to seeing you out there. I'm sure you're fired up to go to the game.
Oh, yeah, I'll be there.